Hello everyone and welcome to today's explainer. Oh, I am so thrilled you're here. Think of me as your personal language coach for the next few minutes. We're going to tackle something that honestly trips up so many language learners, but I promise you, by the end of our time together today, you are going to feel incredibly confident. Today, we're mastering expressions of quantity. You know, those tricky little words like much, many, some, any, a few, and a little. We're going to break it all down visually, step by step. So grab a notebook, get comfy, and get ready to practice right out loud with me.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap. First, we'll cover count versus non-count nouns. Then, much, many, and lots. Next, using some and any. After that, a few versus a little. And finally, we'll fix some common mistakes.
Section 1. Count versus non-count nouns. Building the foundation. Honestly, grasping this first foundational step is absolutely crucial because it makes the rest of the explainer make perfect sense.
First up, count nouns. Just like the name implies, these are things we can physically count, one by one. You can literally put a number right in front of them. Things like a cup, 2 girls, 3 apples, 4 eggs, 10 kilos. Now, as your coach, I want you actively participating here. Wherever you're listening from, say this confidently out loud with me. Ready? An apple, 2 apples. An egg? 4 eggs. Fantastic. That's exactly the feel of a count noun.
Now, let's contrast that with non-count nouns. These are things we just cannot separate into individual countable units. Think of abstract concepts, liquids, or powders. Things like water, sugar, milk, music, and money. I mean, we don't say 1 music or 2 musics, right? Imagine trying to count individual grains of sugar in your morning coffee. You'd literally be there all day. Let's build some muscle memory with this. Repeat after me in a nice steady rhythm. Water, some water. Music, some music. Feel how incredibly different that is from counting those apples?
Let's ground this abstract rule in a real-world image. Look at the left side here. We can say 2 apples. No problem. But it's physically and grammatically impossible to say 2 waters. I mean, you can't just hold 2 individual units of liquid water in your bare hands. No way. Instead, look at the right. We have to use containers. We count the container, not the liquid itself. So it perfectly becomes 2 bottles of water or 2 glasses of water.
Section 2. Much, many, and lots. Measuring your words. Now, we're going to layer on some specific expressions using the exact foundation we just built.
So the crucial point is how we divide these 2 words. On the left, we've got much. We use much strictly with non-count nouns, and specifically when we're dealing with questions and negative sentences. Think of money or milk. You'd ask how much money do you have or say there isn't much milk left. Now on the right we have many. Many pairs exclusively with count nouns, again in questions and negatives. Think people or photos. Like how many people were at the party, or I didn't take many photos.
Okay, let's pause for another interactive moment. I want you to read these questions out loud. Imagine you're actively planning a huge dinner party or organizing your living room. Read them with some purpose. How much sugar do we need? Notice that sugar is non-count, so we use much. Okay, next one. How many books are on the table? Books are countable, so we use many. Hear how beautifully natural that sounds when you apply the rule?
And now for some amazingly good news. If you ever panic and forget the whole much and many rule, do not sweat it. A lot and lots of are your new best friends. The easy rule here is that they work universally and perfectly with both count and non-count nouns. You can say there's a lot of butter for a non-count noun, or I have lots of friends for a count noun. You can even use them in questions and negatives, like are there lots of tourists in your country? It is such a fantastic, versatile tool to just keep in your back pocket.
Section 3. Using some and any. Positives and negatives.
Check out this quick comparison. On the left, we use some in positive affirmative sentences. So if you're in the kitchen making coffee, you just confidently state, I'd like some sugar. Super simple, very positive. But look at the right side. The second we flip to a question or a negative sentence, some transforms into any. If you're looking under the sink and that bottle is totally empty, you'd say, we don't have any dishwashing liquid. Or maybe you ask, is there any sugar in this coffee? So affirmative gets some, negatives and questions get any. Now lean in for a second, because I really want to share a little insider secret with you. Every good grammar rule has a polite exception. Even though we literally just said questions use any, when we are making polite offers or requests, we bring some right back into the mix. For example, can I have some cake? Or would you like some soda? Using some here sounds warm, inviting, and polite, whereas using any can kind of sound like you're interrogating someone. So for offers, definitely stick with some.
Section 4. A few versus a little. Small quantities. Let's keep this awesome momentum going. Both of these expressions simply mean some, but in a small quantity. And this brilliantly illustrates why our foundational step was so absolutely crucial earlier. Look at the left side. We use a few strictly for things we can count, like there are a few eggs left. On the right, we use a little exclusively for our non-count nouns, things like, can you give me a little help, or she needs a little sugar. You would never ever say a little eggs or a few help. It just sounds entirely wrong. Count goes with few, non-count goes with little.
Actually, here's another great secret about how native English speakers talk. You'll notice the phrase here, I have a few friends coming over. In spoken English, people constantly use these approximate quantities instead of exact numbers just to sound a bit more relaxed and natural. I mean, unless you're setting a super formal dinner table, it sounds kind of robotic to say, I have exactly 3 friends coming over, right? Saying a few friends makes your conversation flow so much better.
Section 5. Fixing common quantity mistakes. Polishing your skills. Let's look at some real-world slip-ups.
Now, what's really interesting about these examples is just how glaringly obvious the mistakes become once you actually know the rules. On the left, we see someone saying, she has many money. Now, why does that feel so clunky? Well, because money is a non-count noun. So the natural fix on the right is, she has much money. Look at the next one. I don't have much friends. Friends are clearly countable, so much is definitely incorrect. The fix? I don't have many friends. Once you apply the count and non-count rules, you literally won't make these mistakes again. And hey, remember our polite rule from earlier? Instead of asking, can I have any cake, you'll now confidently offer, can I have some cake?
Let's bring it all together. This chart is basically your definitive cheat sheet. I highly recommend taking a quick mental snapshot of it. Let's do one last rapid-fire drill together just to lock this all in. Say it out loud with me. How many books? How much sugar? Some water? Any friends? A few apples? A little money? Lots of people? Incredible! You can see so clearly how much pairs with non-count, many with count, a few with count, and a little with non-count.
Well, we've covered a whole lot of ground today, but learning doesn't just stop when this explainer ends. I actually want to leave you with a bit of a challenge. Look around the room you're sitting in right now. Really look. Can you spot 3 count nouns, maybe a few chairs or a few pens on a desk? And can you spot 3 non-count nouns, maybe a little sunlight coming through the window or a little water in your glass? Try to build sentences in your head using much, many, a few, and a little, based strictly on what you see. Because honestly, once you start noticing the hidden rules of everyday language, you're going to wonder what other grammar secrets you've been completely missing out on. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, and I'll see you in our next explainer.